Gentlemen, ICANN 47 has just concluded. The focus all week very much on the internet in Africa. A lot of discussion about its positive possibilities, but also a need to build infrastructure and to educate. In that context, what are your takeaways from this meeting?
Well, I will relate a story. This morning, a number of us had the distinct opportunity to go to a township here in Durban to paint a school. And as we arrived and we sang happy birthday, it's Mandela Day here today, I was whisked into a classroom of 30 or so 14-year-olds to talk to them. And of course, my opening question was, how many of you have heard about the internet? Only one child raised his hand. I could not believe it. I thought maybe I couldn't communicate, so I probed further. Only one child said, yeah, my mom uses it. They're 14-year-olds in a township in Durban, eager to learn, wonderful faces, great spirit, but no connectivity. So I'm glad to say that through the great work of ZADNA, our partners and our host here, a commitment was immediately made to the school, to the principal, that a computer lab will be connected to the internet and it will all be paid for the next 2 years. Frankly, more of this should happen. More of us at ICANN meetings need to engage with the local community. This was a great first, and I hope we keep doing this moving forward.
Steve, picking up on what Fadi just said, at the opening ceremony, you stressed the desire for ICANN to remain empathetic even as it expands globally. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, actually, let me expand in two ways. As an organization, one of the opportunities that we have, because we're not a government organization or embedded in a bigger bureaucracy, is to not only do our job well, and I've stressed in the past effectiveness and efficiency, but I realized that it's possible that you can be effective and efficient and be cold and distant and difficult to deal with. And that's not what we want. We want exactly the opposite. We want to be a positive experience in dealing with us. The other aspect, though, which I think relates very strongly to what Fadi has just said, is that a very important part of us is that we are not a single actor. We're part of an internet ecosystem. We interact with other organizations, and we cannot be successful unless the entire ecosystem is successful. So it's exactly this kind of engagement with the community, and in this case, a school in Durban, but in general with the broader community, and to work in partnership, both with our near partners like the supporting organization CCNSO, which has got a special place in my heart, or more broadly throughout the entire internet ecosystem.
I mean, Brad, the facts are clear. Only 1 in 6 people in Africa are connected to the internet. There's a lot of work to do. ICANN and our community, as Steve said, must increase our commitment to serving and growing the use of the DNS and the internet and the servicing of the new businesses and the new growth that is being seen in Africa. But on the good side, Africa is now the fastest growing continent in GDP terms. It is also a continent that is seeing a huge growth in schooling. Post-secondary schooling enrollment has grown by nearly 48% in the last 8 years. So this is the trends are all there. The engines of economic growth are there. We need to be here and supportive of the areas that have the most difficulties and need our help, not stay away from this. Now, we must still do this within the remit of ICANN. This is not about ICANN expanding its mission. It's about doing it within our mission, but doing it with our resources, doing it with our great spirit, the spirit of an organization that has empathy.
So what you're saying, Fadi, is it would be unfair to simply look at those low penetration rates, internet penetration rates. One also has to look at those growth numbers.
Yes, absolutely. Africa is now, frankly, leading the world in growth. And all of the eyes of the world are on the African engine right now. And frankly, unlike past spurts in African growth, all the experts agree now that Africa's growth seems quite sustainable and quite real. And as many factors support why the growth is happening. So I'm very pleased, and I think Africa will remain on ICANN's strategy focus. Our efforts here have to grow. Our team here has to grow, but always in partnership with our local, most capable community, whether it's ISOC, who's very present in Africa, or the CCTLDs with their AFTLD leadership organization, or it's the W3C, Afrinic, who has done superb work across the continent. All of them are here. We want to join them and put our efforts and our hands with them.
Fadi, also at Monday's opening events, we had a ceremonial signing for the registrar and registry agreements. Tell me, how important is this in terms of a milestone for the Gtld program?
When you have very senior executives from one registry shed tears as they were signing it, you can tell this was an emotional milestone as well as a practical milestone that shows that ICANN has moved into execution mode. Getting contracts signed releases all the energies of the applicants into the right direction now, not just to make the program get off the ground. Now their energies are to make the TLDs meaningful to the market and to build industries, to build communities, exactly the purpose why the new GTLDs were introduced. So indeed, I believe this is a huge milestone and one that puts the program, frankly, in positive territory, moving towards that last mile, which, as we discussed and committed to, we are confident will happen towards the end of this year.
Steve, also this week, it's the 10th anniversary of the CCNSO, the country code name supporting organization, which you mentioned earlier. How significant is that?
We have contractual relationships and hence very frequent and extensive interactions with the Gtld space, with the generic names. But the country code top-level domains, there's a couple hundred of them. They are an enormous wealth of diversity, of richness, of depth in every dimension, in culture and in experience and operational capability. And I think that they are the real backbone of the internet DNS infrastructure. And they're both interdependent with each other and independent. And as I say, I think that they provide a great source of insight and expertise. So I've always looked to them as strong partners, as strong colleagues, and so this is their, as you said, their 10th anniversary, and I thought that that's quite noteworthy and worth celebrating. They've had very good leadership, and this time also marks a change from Leslie Cowley stepping down. She's the managing director of Nominet, and Byron Holland, who's her counterpart for the Canadian registry, CIRA, is stepping in. I've had the pleasure of working closely with both of them as well as other leaders, and it really is a remarkable ensemble of talent there.
Fadi, tell me a little bit about the panels that you announced on Wednesday and what that means for ICANN's strategy.
As I said, the ICANN strategy panels are here to inform and provide feedback to the strategy planning process as well as the subsequent operating planning process. So the strategy planning process should take us through the end of this year. Immediately on the heels of it, we'll start an operating plan process. The strategy panels are here to frankly inform both of these and inform them on these 5 areas that we felt, listening to the community, receiving feedback from the community through the website we set, that these 5 areas are areas that frankly require more in-depth analysis and more in-depth information. I want to emphasize that these 5 strategy panels are not going to, in any way, shape, or form, circumvent any ICANN processes such as our PDP process to develop policy. They're not designed to do that, and they're not in a place to do that. They're simply places where dialogue will happen. In fact, with input from the community during this week, I have instructed my team that each of these panels must start its mission by having a town hall meeting, by listening to the community, and that halfway through their progress, they must do another town hall to chat and discuss with the community what they have learned. And then towards the end, before they publish their recommendation, again, another town hall. So they are embedded in the community. They will be made up of people in the community. And all they will do at the end is inform the community, not me, not the board, inform the community to aid us in the process of creating for ICANN solid strategies and solid operating plans for the years ahead.
We're recording this interview on Mandela Day, the 95th birthday of Nelson Mandela. What is it like in that context to be in this country, on this continent, on this day?
It is, this is extremely special for me. I've followed, as many of us have, his life and what he's done. He's clearly an inspiration to the world, not just to South Africans. He's bigger than any man in my memory at this time we live. I landed in Joburg, and the first thing I did with my wife is to go to Soweto to visit his home where he struggled. His home that was burned, and he suffered in it with his family and had to build walls within the house to dodge bullets for his girls. What is amazing about his spirit, as we call him here, and people call him Madiba. Madiba is the word that means really the conciliator, the one who brings people together. And that's a very, very powerful word. And he did that. He brought a lot of people together. This country is one because of him. And many parts of the world learn from this spirit of oneness that comes from Madiba. And frankly, we at ICANN have just enjoyed what I believe is a very united week. It was remarkable in its unity and its tranquility. It doesn't mean we stop making our points and we stop being very proactive and vigilant in ensuring that the multi-stakeholder model and the policies it produces are the right policies. I think this is a mark of a community that is alive. Having said that, this was permeated by a spirit of common purpose, a spirit of working together that in my heart, I believe, comes from the great spirit of Madiba.
Steve, you're an internet pioneer. You've seen this amazing growth of the internet, which is oftentimes called the great equalizer, that has brought the world together globally. What is it like for you in that context to be here in this place on this day?
Well, it touches my heart without any question. This is, growing up in school and reading about South Africa during the times of apartheid, and then being able to come here to a modern society which feels open, feels free, and to not only experience the warmth which Africa and South Africa are famous for, but the level of sophistication and erudition and real experience at building institutions, at getting along with each other, and making things work. It's really quite pleasurable. It marks you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.